What is going on, guys? We are back
What episode is this?
with, I believe it's episode 7.
Yep.
Yeah, episode
Cool.
7. Episode 7, we're going to go through today basically how we look at the path to achievement, whether that's in business, whether that's in sport, endurance, whatever it may be, and finding validation in the things that you do, and kind of our perspective on that, how it shifted, how it's changed. And that's the plans for today. But before that, you want to give a little life update, what you got going on?
Yeah.
What's new?
Not much is really new. After the race, I had about a week until I started running again. And that second week was tough. I told my coach that my body still hurt and my heart rate was going crazy. But then this past week was actually a really great week. So I'm back to full 100%. I ran 9 miles last night. Heart rate was really good. So we're back to training. This next week is going to be my first real week of training where I've actually had like miles laid out from Monday through Saturday rather than running for 30, 45 minutes at a time. Mm-hmm. So training is great. Working 6 days a week. So same old. What about you?
Yeah, about the same work-wise. We're really dialed in on the Bowling Green stacked store right now. So I'm going down to the store Wednesday through Fridays with you, and we essentially work the store open to close.
Constantly.
We run in the mornings, and we trade off shifts so we can go to the gym after that, and then we go to sleep and wake up and do the same thing again. And then usually on the weekends, I'm doing ordering for the company, getting financials together, and then Monday comes around, all the orders go out, coordinate everything, and I seem to be back on the road again. But
you're doing a lot of moving around.
But I was just talking to Briley about this. I don't know. I think right now the feeling is like really excited just to be busy, really excited to have things to work on, to have problems. I'm blessed. Everyone's healthy. So I think to have something in the and kind of the path in front of us and to wake up and work toward it every day
it's fun.
It is fun. Training wise, dude, after every run, I literally look up and thank God if I'm back running again.
I was about to say, you're not dealing with your injury much anymore.
I had a 38-mile week, so
yeah.
I'm back to almost 40-mile weeks, 2 high rocks workouts a week. And
now, are you keeping it at 40 or are you going to like 50?
I'll probably keep it at 40. Now, if I start feeling good, it'll go higher from there. I would say the one lesson I learned that has helped me a ton in increasing mileage while I'm doing this is the importance of rehab. And when I say that, I mean gearing your lower strength training days toward running better. So I do a lot of like foot strength, ankle mobility stuff now.
Yeah.
A lot of hamstring stuff, knees over toes, and it has helped tremendously with my running. I go into every run feeling a lot more fresh.
That's what I need to get better at. I don't do a lot of mobility. I don't do a lot of stretching, which some people would call me dumb.
Well, it's really not even mobility and stretching. I think that's kind of boring, to be honest. It's more just taking your body through ranges of motion that are a little bit different than what you do in your run. When you run, you're just in the same plane all the time, just pounding. So you got to do a lot more side-to-side stuff, rotational, this is going to sound weird, but load your big toe, like work on your big toe strength, the bottom of your foot. Helped a lot. We're not talking about bottom of feet right now, though. That's not really the point of the...
No, I mean, I think I realized that too after my race was I need to work on more things to get my legs ready to run that far.
Yeah.
And whenever you kind of went through the same thing of rehabbing your ankle and like Achilles and everything, like working on other things. So I think getting better at working my calves and like, you know, the front part of your calf and your feet and everything. I think that's going to help
tibialis,
the next race.
Anterior, posterior. Yeah. It does help a ton. And I think you just learn as you go because your body's never ran that many miles before. So you're not used to it. But that's, if anyone could take anything from me, that's my lesson. And you don't have to add, like, you don't have to do more hours of rehab on top of what you're already doing. Just build it into your current training. Yeah, you may not do leg press anymore. You may not do quad extensions, but maybe you're doing eccentrics on your calves. You're doing knee over toe lunge. You're doing, but
yeah.
Besides the point, training's going good. We have Miami High Rocks April 19th. I believe we're under 50 days out now. So like 6 weeks. I'm 3 weeks into my build, and
Goodness.
I'm feeling really good. I'm holding good paces. So
I'm excited just to experience it and like
yeah,
just to get to know what you feel like
yeah,
through a whole race, trying to push myself and just like have fun with it, which I'm not going for like a time goal or anything like that. Me and Taylor already decided that we're just going out there and having fun,
of course.
especially since the focus is different. But I am excited to experience that, and more so there just to kind of like feel what you're feeling out there, but then like be able to watch you and help film maybe so that we can get some good stuff for you. But
yeah, I think that Miami will be a good opportunity to kind of dial some things in that we learned from last time, and then New York is full send at that point. So we're gonna be sub 1 hour is the goal, but when you say sub 1 hour, it's actually knowing what is required to do a sub 1 hour, and you have to break it down by paces at each station.
that's
at
what we
each
talked
lap.
about last time too. Yeah,
It's
just
legitimately like a 6:15, kind of like a 6 minute flat running pace.
Yeah.
That's why when people say sub one, it's no joke.
like
Man.
you're cutting off seconds here, you're trying to cut off seconds here, you're trying to get back seconds there. But
No doubt.
yeah,
But I do want to talk about the topics that we have lined up for this week. And
can I mention it and you kind of talk about it, because I feel like you have a little bit more to give, and I can give some backstory on this.
yeah,
So you called me on Monday, and you were like, "Dude, I just thought about something." You're like, "This makes like perfect sense in my brain," and after you said it, it made perfect sense in my brain too.
so what were you doing? Where were you at when I called?
I was at home. I just gotten home after work. I think it was around like 8:30.
It was later.
Yeah, it was later in the night. Which you say is typically the time that you're dead and like you're about to go to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I'm thinking the most. But you called me and you're like, "Dude, I've been thinking about this. Like, this makes so much sense in my brain," and it all just hit when you're younger. So ages, I don't know, I guess until now, honestly, you go through life, and whether it be your parents, your coaches, your teachers, whoever it may be that's like a figure in your life, when you're going to school or you're going to practice or you're coming home, everyone is giving you validation on something that you're doing. So if you're getting good grades, like your teachers and your parents are probably like praising you for getting good grades. Or if you go to practice and you kill it, your coaches are praising you for doing good at practice. So you're constantly seeking validation from someone else as you go through life. And you hit a point where, kind of like we're at now, where you get into entrepreneurship and you start building a business where no one's really giving you that validation anymore. Like, you're your own leader. You're leading yourself. You're trying to build a company. You're leading yourself in your endurance sport, whatever it may be. And there's no one really, I mean, besides people that are reaching out, being like, "Yo, you're doing, this is inspiring," stuff like that. There's no one day in and day out to give you validation anymore, and you kind of have to find that yourself. So you can talk a little bit more about how you explained it to me and like what you think about it. But
No, I was sitting there, and I zoomed out quite a bit on what we're doing with the supplement stores, on what we're doing with endurance and sport and everything, and how it kind of all ties in together. And I'll be honest, dude, I'll be vulnerable. I had this feeling that we weren't winning, and no, we're not where we want to be at all. But it was almost alarming for me, because I realized that feeling kind of followed me every day of never winning. We could have a day where, for instance, like Black Friday, when you have the highest grossing day that the company's ever seen, and still feel nothing.
yeah,
Feel nothing. Not saying it's a huge milestone, but just not. You feel like you're still lacking somewhere. There's still something to do. And I started thinking about why. What am I looking for in the win? What do I want out of it, and why do I feel this way? Why does the win always have to be so large? Why does it always have to be huge for me to feel something? And if I do, it's only for an hour and then it's on to the next. Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say that and make it seem like that's not a good thing, because it is. Like, you're always striving for more. It's very cliche. You hear it all the time. But there is a darker side of it that you don't realize. So I started thinking about, where did I seek validation from? Where was this win? Where did I want this win to come from? And you think about how you grow up, and you kind of already mentioned it, but especially if you have a heavy sports background, say you don't, let's say you're in theater or you're in arts, everyone has some form of a figure, whether that's a coach, a mentor, a teacher, a counselor, a therapist, something. You have someone in your life that you look toward, that you respect, that their word means a lot to you. And let's say it's after a game. You have a great game. Your coach is, hey, Drew, great game. You did everything we talked about. You completed all of the X, Y, Z. So you go home and you feel great. Wow, I did my job today. I'm a beast. There's confidence. Your subconscious is giving you positive feedback loops. It's a good day.
Everybody's giving you confidence.
Yes. It's a great, but little do you know, whenever, I don't want to say you get into the real world, but when you get into entrepreneurship or trying to build something on your own or with a group of people or a team, as you take on more responsibility, and there's no ego in this, but you become the guy at an organization, or maybe it's one of our guys on our team that just that are running a store for the first time on their own, and they're the guy at that store.
Yeah, you feel like the guy like at that location. Yeah,
you hold it down. You are a leader there in that town, and you take on a lot more responsibility. And there may be a feeling of not winning if you didn't hit your KPI for that month, or etc. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
The reason is because you started taking on more responsibility, and now you are the man in your life. Even if you're not married yet, if you have a girlfriend, if you guys live together, if you're a son, a brother, whatever it may be, you are a man at that point. And there's no one that is going to tell you good job for showing up to work and doing your community outreach and taking care of people in the way that you should take care of people. There's no one waiting to tell you did a good job or constantly measuring your performance. Now, you could argue that that's us, obviously, in the company, but I'm sure a lot of people listening have a similar experience. You've gotten older, you've taken on more responsibility, and those attaboys don't come along as often as they used to. When you're younger, they tend to come often.
Way more often.
This is the learning lesson in it. For me specifically, is it's honestly a blessing to have that. Because that means that you are taking on enough responsibility to where you're running the ship in some facet, whether that's you're running the ship in your relationship, you're leading a good relationship, you're running the ship and being a better a brother, being a better husband, being a better son, being a better boss, whatever it may be. There's no one sitting there to give you that validation of you're doing a good job. So this is the learning lesson in it for me that made it a lot more tactical for myself. And that was setting up, very cliche, but that was setting up little things for me that I wanted to do and not even really telling anyone about them, but goals for myself. And when I hit them, rewarding myself.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. I bought running shoes. I bought new Saucony Endorphin Pros, and that was reaching a goal for myself professionally. And I set that up for myself, and I wasn't going to get those shoes until I hit the goal. And that was my own attaboy to myself. And you feel a little bit of validation in that moment, and you keep moving. But the shift in perspective here for me was I was no longer looking in it from other people. It was more, I know where I'm going, and if I can set up these little milestones along the way and reward myself, it's positive reinforcement loop for that type of behavior. So if I was talking to anybody that is listening, whether you've started a new job, maybe you're at a new school, most people are embarking on something new at this point in the journey. If you have felt like you're not winning consistently, take some time to zoom out and obviously look at the actions that you're taking every day. Do they align with where you want to go? I think that's first and foremost. But second, if they are, and you know you're taking all of the right steps every day, you're not just showing up, you're actively trying to get better at what you're doing, give yourself some grace and also set up some small milestones for yourself and reward yourself along the way, because those attaboys are few and far in between the older you get.
Yeah.
And the better you can get at giving yourself an attaboy, I think it makes the process a lot more fulfilling, and you're a lot more likely to stick to it throughout.
Yeah. Maybe you can give some like experience where you've been in that situation where you realized that you weren't receiving validation and it kind of affected you. I can give a piece of mine, and this is kind of what I thought about beforehand, but ever since we opened the store in Bowling Green, I did 7 days a week of working the store open to close. I did train for a 100-mile race. I trained for another 100-mile race, which sounds cool and is great, and I think it is great. That's awesome. But I do still feel a lot of the time like I'm not doing enough, or I could be doing more. And that feeling is constantly there, you know what I mean? Like, you can constantly be doing more, and you hear other people talk about it too, which that's a good thing, that you want more, and that's why some people become successful. But at what point is it where you feel like you're not doing enough and you should reflect and think, man, I've done pretty good for like where I'm at? Like, what's the point of...
Dude, I don't think it's a lack of not doing enough. I think it's a lack of, and I'm saying this because I'm a culprit, I think it's a lack of focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if you're more singularly focused on one goal, let's break it all the way down. Let's say your goal in Bowling Green was, I want to get 100 new customers a month.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do has to lead back to that goal.
Yeah.
So if you look at your daily actions, you just say, did this lead to me getting more customers today for the store?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, doing good. No, not doing good. I think you constantly feel like you're not doing enough whenever that focus is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think making your goals more specific.
Yeah.
This goes back to like
I agree.
the SMART acronym, but making your goals more specific and measurable.
Yeah.
It does help. You'll feel like you're doing enough whenever you can measure your goal, and you're a lot more singularly focused. I think whenever your goals are spread out, because dude, especially in business, it's so easy. Because you could be like, I want to get 100 new customers this month. I want to solidify an incentive program, and I want to bring on 3 new brands. And you're going to constantly feel like you're not doing enough. But if your goal is, I need 35 new customers a week, I don't care but I have to do that. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think it becomes a lot, and this isn't me lecturing you. This is me also learning through my own actions.
Yeah, it goes back to like what you were saying with like setting goals, and whenever you hit those goals, like reward yourself, not in like a huge way, but like reward yourself for hitting that goal. It goes back to that, like setting goals, and it could be from like a goal setting issue. Like, there's nothing that like I'm working for every day.
And there is, though, because you want to grow. Let's say you want to grow your store.
Obviously, it's a bigger scheme. It's not small tasks to get done that week or like that month.
Yeah.
And I think we've moved more into that with our new like plan, I guess you could say, with like tracking it every single week and like putting the numbers down and like reaching a goal every single week to hit, and then backtracking and seeing like what do I need to do to hit that goal every single week.
Yeah.
I think that's made it better. But yeah, I think it goes back to that.
That's it. I think I do want to talk a little bit about the process of building something, and what kind of entails from what we're talking about. So when I say the process of building something, I'm talking about your perception of the process and kind of what your mind goes through on your way to getting there. So if you're right now working toward a marathon build, you're working toward getting a new position in the company you're working in, maybe you're growing a business, everyone goes through this process of building something. And I want to give credit where credit's due. I heard about this on a podcast with Alex Hormozy, but it was one of the most insightful things I have heard probably in the last year, because I think it's very true. It's very simple, but it's very true. And there's some big words in here. they're big for me, maybe not for some other people, but I'll give an explanation behind them. So when you do start building something in the very beginning, let's say you want to start your own lemonade stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me and you sit here and wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we started one of the biggest lemonade stands in this town and
Sounds cool.
we're going to get these people, we're going to have this type of lemonade, we're going to have this branding on our table. That's such a terrible example.
Sounds like we're going to make a lot of money.
Hell yeah. We're going to have the best lemonade stand that anyone.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So this process is uninformed optimism, and everyone has this when they start. We had it when we started the store in Bowling Green. You have it when you start really anything new, and I think that it's kind of beautiful though. You're naive, which is great. I think that
Do you want to talk about that?
What?
We've had a conversation before we opened Bowling Green about what numbers we thought we were going to hit in the first whatever months.
Yeah, we thought we were going to do 50,000 in net sales in one of the first months that we opened. And we just had the best month that we've had since being opened.
Yeah.
And it was a 28-day month, but we did 32.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge win. But
I remember talking about it. We were walking around the warehouse, the HQ, whenever we were talking about, I don't know if you remember that, what we thought we were going to hit.
Yeah. Which is, I think that it's cool though. I think that
it's good to have that.
Yeah. If you sat there and you were like, man, I hope we can scrounge some.
Well, if you don't have big expectations, you're not going to reach for anything.
Yeah. So
if we were like, dude, I don't know, like, hopefully we keep this store open.
Yeah,
it's not going to work.
It's a little different. Yeah, you want to reach for the stars. So I think that being naive in the beginning is almost, I don't want to say a requirement, but I think the opposite of that is the analysis by paralysis. I think that you can analyze something to the very bone of it and try to figure out all the bad shit about it and talk yourself out of it before you even start. But I think having a quick start is good in some instances. But yeah, this stage is called uninformed optimism. You're naive. It sounds really fun. You're excited about the opportunity. But eventually, everyone gets to a stage which is called informed pessimism. So informed pessimism, now you know about the bad things that come with it. So you know about the shit that comes with building whatever that you are trying to build in that moment. And for us specifically, the store, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but we knew that you would have to open and close for a long time, but
you don't know what that feels like.
Opening and closing a store 11 hours a day, 10 hours a day before we moved the hours of the store, but 11 hours a day open to close, and then still running, and then still taking care of your health and getting your groceries and doing everything outside of it. Yeah, is it doable? Absolutely. And people do that kind of stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. But if you've never done it months on end, years on end, it's well,
that's what I was saying, and I didn't mean like you don't know what it feels like. I meant like before we had done it, I didn't know what it felt like.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool to be like, yo, like I'm cool with doing this, which I was.
Yeah.
But just saying it out loud that I'm going to go work the store 7 days a week, open to close, it's different when you feel it rather than when you say it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what you're saying.
It's a grind. But that's one example. Another example would be how easy you thought it would be to get customers. Mm-hmm. Not as easy, especially in a new town where you don't know anyone or know anything. You do have to get good at marketing.
I don't think we thought about how much you'd have to drive down to Bowling Green, too.
Yeah, how much I would have to come down. Which, I mean, I've obviously been cool with, too, but
yeah, I mean,
the driving,
we're cool with everything.
The late nights.
Yeah, we'll make whatever work.
Grocery pickups, you're cooking food, you're prepping it at like 12 a.m. a lot of the time, then you wake up and do it again. But honestly, those are the stories that are going to be fun to tell someday, and
exactly.
I wouldn't.
That's what's cool.
And we're still in that phase right now, like this week.
Yeah.
You have something going on, so I'm going to cover the store, and I'll be there 4 days straight, open to close, and I'll just be grinding. And those stories will be fun to tell, but this would be this stage that's informed pessimism. So you went through a stage where it sounded really cool. Now you're in a stage where, okay, yeah, this is actually, there's parts of this that's ass. It sucks.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's part of it. Then you have a choice, and I think that this is the coolest part of the process. And I say cool, but in the moment, feels like ass. It honestly, don't even feel like yourself, if we want to be real. You hear that it's hard, but it's hard. This is the choice where you have, they said crash and burn or burnout. And I think that is a result of people not knowing how long that feeling is going to last. And I would say that we're partly still in that phase.
We are.
Because you don't.
I think we'll be in that phase for a long time.
Yeah, the stores are showing positive signs of growth, which is ideal, and we're still hammering the rock every day. But
everything goes in ebbs and flows.
Yeah, there's just
because there'll be times it might not be the same kind of bad.
Yeah,
but at some point you're not going to see what you wanted to see, and then you're going to be back in that time again. But I mean,
yeah. But in this point, this is where Alex talked about every entrepreneur has a choice, and this makes a lot of sense to me. But this is where someone has the choice where they can quit and they can start something new, and you restart the process. So if you start something new, you're back to the beginning again of uninformed optimism. You find out about the shit, informed pessimism. Then you get to the point where crash and burn out, whatever it may be. You have the choice again. And do I think that sometimes maybe repeating that cycle may be required to get where you want to go? Yeah. I don't think that it's always a bad thing to have to repeat the cycle. But I think in that moment, making the choice is really a huge point for I don't even want to say entrepreneur. Let's just say every person, because it may not relate to business. But whenever you know about the shit and you still make the choice to see it through, that's when then the process can lead to informed optimism. Now you're informed on the bullshit that comes with whatever you're doing, but you're still optimistic about the future. Then it leads to achievement. And I think that also is the biggest crossover between endurance and business as well, because we talk about that a lot. Yeah. You go through the exact same process in training.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool to run 30 miles a week, 40 miles a week while lifting, being shredded, want to be jacked. Okay, then you go and do it. Or that you do a real event and the event is really hard.
Yeah.
Coming out of that event when it's not exciting anymore, what's your choice? Do you still do it because you remind yourself of the goal that you have in front of you? Maybe that's a sub 3, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But whatever you decide in that moment will build character, that's for sure.
I think you hit those points in training too. I forgot who it was. I talked to somebody the other night about how I get to the middle of my training blocks and it sucks because you're not at the beginning where you're super excited to get started training for this event, but you're also not close enough to the event where you get those jitters and like those good feelings of like, oh, this event's almost here. So you're like right in the middle, and training is the hardest because you're putting in the most volume and effort. And you kind of think to yourself like, man,
this is when, I will be honest, maybe I'm twisted, this is when it's the most fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes with reflection too.
It does. And the reason I say that, the last event that we did, I remember doing wall balls at the very end of the event and being spent. And for some reason, I had this vision of my head doing this crazy workout I did at the barn CrossFit gym I started working out in the very beginning of doing 100 wall balls. And for some reason, I just remembered that moment and laying on the ground after and how I felt. And then being in the competition, you look back to, I remember in the middle of that prep, what it felt like. And I was dying and no one was watching and it was just me. Now here I am in the moment, and it's almost like you kind of just zone out. It's almost surreal. And then you knock it out of the park, and then you think back to, wow, I remember week 4 out of the 8-week training block whenever it felt like shit and I didn't want to do it, and I did it anyway. And now look.
Real. Fired me up.
That's it. Yeah, I think that I really don't want to elaborate too much more on that concept. I think that makes sense for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's really all I have on that. I hope that if you're in the point of this podcast, I hope that if you are in that mode or in that phase of trying to build something, maybe you're even getting a degree, whatever it is, if you're in that mode and you're feeling like, damn, I don't even know if this is what I want to do anymore, remember why you started in the first place. Remember what you were optimistic about in the beginning, because you're going to see a little bit more of that optimism on the other side again, but except now, you know everything that comes with it. you're kind of unstoppable at that point. Whenever you know everything that comes with it, but you choose to keep going, that's what's going to differentiate you from everybody else. And for us, even, I think that was realizing that we're not nearly as far as we thought we were. You feel like you've been in it a long time, but once again, you zoom out. You're like, wow, I've been in this for 3.5, 4 years. You've been in this for 1.5 years. It's really, we've been in endurance for a year. That is it's not that long.
No.
Don't get me wrong. You don't want to waste time. Keep learning, keep educating yourself, building skills, but remind yourself to zoom out and think about where you are on the path. Are you in uninformed optimism? Are you in informed pessimism? Are you crashing out right now? If you are, think back to why you started, remind yourself. And then on the other side of that is informed optimism and achievement. So
that's cool. I like that topic. That's fun. I'm still learning.
Yeah, I think we all are. And I hope that I hope that helps somebody. And I hope that you can see the other side of it and make the right decision for yourself if you are in that. But that's all I got for him on this pod. Not going to lie.
Yeah. I just wanted to hear what you had to say really about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm still figuring that out. And that's why I brought that piece to the conversation too, because I'm still trying to learn that. And I think it's cool to look at it like that and see the different stages, because I could tell you where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. We have, like I said, Miami High Rocks in 6 weeks. We're training for that, and we're going to continue to come out with podcasts along the way on Sundays, and then usually try to get them out on Sunday nights into Monday morning, like always. We are going to want to do a podcast on nutrition. We've had a lot of people ask about nutrition and around training.
That'll probably be the next one. No,
I think that would be a good one to do on the next one. And we'll probably try to go A through Z on everything we do for nutrition, around long runs, if you're just getting into running, around circuit training, different products we take that we like, that we haven't liked, what's worked for us, what hasn't, because we made all the mistakes.
Yeah.
We've shit on ourselves a few times taking the wrong stuff. So
yeah. Or not doing enough.
Yeah.
I have plenty of stories.
So, yeah, that's all I got. That's
podcast number 7.
Pod 7.
Yeah. That's it.
Appreciate you guys listening.